Hey everybody, welcome to Calling All Dads. This is our podcast. My name is Ralph. This is Dom.
Hey guys.
We are two excited fathers who decided to take our talents to the internet. I work as an automotive technician. I have a son. He's a year and 8 months, soon to be 8 months. Dom has two beautiful daughters.
Yep, I guess I'll introduce him.
Yes.
My name is Dominick. I'm a network engineer. I have two beautiful girls named Samara and Mila. Samara is 4 years old, and Mila is 3 years old, going on 13. But I guess every parent, I guess specifically if you have daughters, will have the same feelings towards these children growing up way too quick for their age.
Yeah. I remember when you first started posting the videos of Sam with the TikToks.
Ah.
Every father's nightmare.
Yeah. They weren't lying when they say kids grow up too quick.
Yeah,
It's,
absolutely.
it's. I felt like it was yesterday where you were just holding them in your arms, and then now they're talking
Now
back.
it's like, hey, no, I don't want to do that. Hey, Dad,
It's like-
it's not bedtime.
Talking back. She's 4 years old. She's grown. Now you can't tell her what to do. But always a blessing. I'm pretty sure we can both agree, regardless of the ups and downs and the headaches of fatherhood in general. It's definitely a blessing and definitely something I wouldn't trade in for the world specifically.
No, absolutely. Look, I know I'm new to the game, relatively speaking, but yeah, dude, there's nothing that compares to it. I mean, if I have to go back to it, I was always making good money, at least, especially like the last like 8 or 9 years, making good money, partying, lots of friends, clubs.
Not anymore.
No, definitely not anymore. I don't even have the energy to. If you're inviting me somewhere after 8:30, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to rain check.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's not happening.
I'll go. I got to make sure I have a babysitter. I got to make sure that I'm off the rest of the night because if I have to come home to childcare, it's not going to be pretty.
Not even that, dude. There was one night, Kathy's like, "Oh yeah, go out with the guys, have a good time." I'm like, "All right, cool, yeah." I go out. I had to wake up in the morning, and Matthew was. He obviously didn't go out the night before.
Oh, yeah.
He woke up and he was just like, "Oh no, it's playtime. Like, wake up now."
Those are the best, yeah.
7 o'clock in the
When they
morning.
should sleep in and
they
they're up
don't.
the earliest out of all days. Been there, done that.
Oh man, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out of it. We actually just got him into his room. Now he sleeps there.
That's
Yeah, he
having a full bed to yourself is underrated.
No, it really is. You know what? I always used to tell Kathy. You know what? I don't understand why it is that we have this big bed and you sleep like 2 inches away from me. Like, go to your side, I'll sleep on my side.
No, that's a roll in my house.
No,
Square.
yeah. Now it's like there is no middle of the bed.
Yeah, no, me and Joanna, my wife, for all you guys listening,
Oh yeah. that's
we
right.
sleep
Gotta
on.
introduce him.
Yeah, we all, well, our wives, we're talking as dads, whatever. So anyway, we sleep on completely opposite sides of the bed. I mean, don't get me wrong, the cuddling stage was great when it happened.
Yeah.
A la college/high school, wherever you can relate to at your point in time. But nowadays, like, I want to go to sleep.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that,
like I need to be
that
comfortable.
arm being numb in the
No,
middle of the night is just,
can't do that
it's
anymore.
not happening anymore. So each side of the bed, we have the space we want to, roll over and interact with the middle. But for the most part,
It's like no.
Yeah, no,
Like,
we-
this is my designated space. This is your designated space.
yeah, let the bed in the middle breathe a bit.
Now let me ask you. Now, do you have a lot of space in the middle, or is it like 70% her side of the bed and then 30% your side?
I don't know if we were just conditioned with when the girls were sleeping in the bed that, we learned to sleep on the sides or on the edges.
Yeah.
But like, for me specifically, ever since my injury
Yeah.
and surgery, like I'm a stomach sleeper. So like for me, having my leg hanging off the bed kind of helps me. So I'm at the edge. I'm
all right.
I'm cliff hanging as I'm sleeping. So it works for me. Joanna, sometimes she'll come to the middle, but she normally again always ends up. I guess
Gotcha.
when your body's conditioned to just do something, you
just
just end
used
up
to it.
on that side. By the time you
Yes,
wake up,
yes,
you're like,
yes.
oh, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, man. I remember when we first started, having Matthew because he wouldn't want to go to sleep in his crib. And then this is the argument that we always get into with everybody. It's like, oh, you shouldn't put the kids in the bed. If you put them in, they're going to get used to it and they're not going to want to leave. And look, to some extent, it's true. It was, I think we did it for about 2 weeks where we were just like, no, we put our foot down. It didn't matter how many times he woke up, we would go.
He was
rock
giving
him,
you a
throw him
hard
to bed.
time sleeping.
Yeah. There was one night in particular, and I remember it. Like, this is when we first agreed, like, yo, this has to stop. It was 11:30. He wakes up, and again, we put him in his crib. He was, passed out. I'm like, all right, cool. He wakes up, so I go back in, I rock him, I put him down. The second his head touched the bed,
He's up.
it's like, boom, right back up. It's like, I'm like, no, you gotta go to sleep here. It got to the point, I want to say, like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was putting him in our bed so he could go to sleep,
And then trying
picking him up, bringing him over there. He would wake up an hour later. I went to work the next day, I was a zombie.
Yeah, no.
And I was just like, no, man, this, like, if we're gonna do it now and suffer like this, we need to get this over with now.
And it took 2 weeks, like
2 full weeks.
14 days of
Yes,
just.
yeah. It was a Sunday. I can't remember what specific day, but it started in April, and it was a nightmare, because he would wake up and then it was like he would get frantic. So we were like, oh, give him a few minutes to go back to bed. No, he would stay there crying and whining, and then he got like, because we had the camera on him, he would sit down and then just look at us and look at the camera. And I'm like, all right, let's just go get him. But nah, man, I mean, back to that point, it's like a lot of people always tell me, oh, you know what, you shouldn't put him in the bed with you. But it's like, it's cost effective if you think about it. For me,
Cost
anyway.
effective.
It is. Look, you're going to fight with him to go to bed. He's not going to.
Yeah.
They're not going to go back to sleep. Not until they're comfortable. So I tried it. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try putting him in his bed. This was a year ago. Well, a few months ago. So I put him in his bed. He woke back up. He's crying. I rocked him, put him down, woke up. It was already like 3 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, this is like on and off, but 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I have to wake up at 6:30 to go to work.
Oh, yeah, so you're ready.
So it's like, why did I even waste all that time? Because I put him in
How
my
old's
bed.
Maddie, though?
A year and 8 months.
Yeah, so you started early, too.
Yeah, well, we had to. Because that's it. Like, now he's bigger. He beats Kathy up in the bed.
he's...
Like, when
a
he
big
wakes
boy.
up in the morning, it's like he'll roll over and, like, he'll kick her in the face. Like, one day she woke up and she was like, oh, my God, it hurts right here. And I was like, oh, you probably, like, fell asleep on your face or
No,
whatever.
your son punched you.
And then she goes downstairs and she's like, I think I have a bruise. I'm like, I don't see anything. Now, Kathy's fair skin. So.
Yeah.
Yo, I want to say sometime like around, like right before lunchtime, because I was cutting the lawn. And as I came back in, I'm like, yo, what happened to your face? And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, what? You have something like right here. Why you have dirt on your face? Like, what's up with that? And she's like, no, nothing. That's where it hurts. And I was like, you have a bruise? And she's
That's
like,
crazy.
no. And I'm like, yo. And, if you look back at it, it's probably him. I mean, it has to be. What else is in the bed?
I don't know. Are you an aggressive sleeper? Are you telling me?
Absolutely not. I've gotten, again, conditioning. I've gotten so accustomed to sleeping on the edges of the bed because wherever you are on the bed, he wants to be right next to you. So, like, I get hot and then, like, I want to, like,
You want to
get away.
get your space.
So, like, I get to the corner of the bed and I'm like, okay, well, that's it. End of the line.
That's where you're safe. I think me and Joanna, I guess we either got really lucky, but we played it right at the 2-year-old. So you're starting pretty early with Matt, because we played it where as soon as Mila was born, in which Samara just turned 1.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
No, Samara, yeah, because Samara was still young.
It's all a blur. That's how.
It's all a blur.
Wait, so
It's like one long weekend.
so was Samara 1 or 2 when? No,
When
she
you
was
started?
turning 1.
She was turning
Then
1.
Samara.
And then
wow, okay.
Mila started jumping in.
Wow. Yeah. Go figure. Like you
Yeah.
can't. All right. So yeah, we're around 1 year old. So literally, as soon as Mila was born, obviously that was the cutoff because then Mila had to
Had to
come
get
onto
in.
our
Yeah,
bed.
exactly.
So yeah, we think we had it really easy because his first
Samara
day
wanted
in
out.
that, Samara was sleeping and no
Man,
issues
I
at all.
wish.
So that was definitely a blessing. And then literally we followed suit when Mila turned. Now that I can, recollect, 1 year old. We did the same thing. Like, all right, let's play the same game, and give her the same timetable we gave Samara. Same thing. Like Samara was excited for her new bed, so she was.
Oh, of course, she's like,
now
oh, I
since
got a
she's
big
used to
girl
it, now
bed.
she's got a big girl bed, and then we moved Mila over to the crib.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, I wish. And dude, I don't care what anybody says. Kids know what they're doing. Because
Of course,
if
yeah.
I put Matthew down in his crib, immediately the second he touches it, boom, pops right back up. But if I was like walking to my bed and I put him in my bed, I didn't have to rock him. I didn't have to comfort him. cuddle
Yeah.
him, nothing. He would literally just curl himself up and go right to
They
bed.
know the thread counts.
So I'm like, yo, you know what? You're probably right. That's
It's
probably
not,
what
this
it
is not
is.
queen size. Nah. This ain't it. This ain't it, bro.
Yeah, man. No, he look, and again, kids, they're awesome. They change you. Uh, I never would have dedicated any of my time or any of my, mental awareness to do anything that I've done for Matthew. Like once Matthew we knew he was coming, which was a total surprise. Go Eagles, by the way. Super Bowl, man. That's all it took.
Got more than a Super Bowl ring that night.
Yeah, man. I'll never forget. Kathy came to my job, and we had already like kind of like suspected it because she was already late, but she was trying to chalk it up to emotions because her grandfather had passed away,
Oh, okay.
and they went to Dominican Republic. But I'll never forget leading up to that moment, like all the conversations. It was like she was there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm breaking out, and I never break out." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like you're probably like,
stress.
stressed out. You're in a different country. It's hotter over there. Whatever." So when she got back, we actually went out to dinner with one of her coworkers and not her now husband. So we're out to dinner, and we ordered a pitcher of sangria. So she went to go pour a glass, and I just gave her a look like,
Yeah, should you be doing this?
We
right
don't
now?
know. And she was like, yeah, but like I don't want to make it obvious. I'm like, all right, so just like leave it there, like don't drink it. And if anything, like when they get up or whatever, like just switch the cups, which we actually did. And I don't know if they actually noticed it, but yeah, then that was on a Sunday night, and then that Monday she was off and I was at work. So she called me. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to the doctors, whatever, like to get like checked out, find out what happens." I'm like, "All right," and yeah, I'll never forget, dude. She calls me. She's like, "I brought you coffee." She went from the doctor's office.
Why I need coffee right now?
Like I need coffee. It's
Sure,
1 o'clock
it
in the
wasn't a shot,
afternoon.
or is this, that's what you calling coffee?
Dude, no. I told her, I'm like, this is really like weird. Kathy never brings me
Coffee.
like coffee ever
Or anything.
Like unless I ask her to. Like if I would be like, hey, look, I'm really hungry. I don't have time to go grab something to eat. I forgot like lunch or whatever. She would bring it to me, or like, oh, if you're out, like, can you bring me coffee? Anything like that. But from her to just go from her doctor's office
Yeah, it's a coffee.
to hey, I'm outside, I was like, yeah, she's pregnant. Yeah. And I remember I went downstairs. I'm walking outside, and yeah, I saw her tears in her face. I was like, yeah, she's pregnant.
Do you take the rest of the day off?
I couldn't.
Ah.
I could not. But I did buy her Wendy's after that.
Oh, okay.
I had to give her something there.
Can't go wrong with Wendy's, that's for sure. We need a sponsor, so Wendy's, let us know.
Wendy's, if you're listening, there you go.
Yeah, I remember my news with Samara. I think Joanna was, I'm not sure if she wasn't feeling well before, because she was a buyer's assistant at the time. So she had a trip to Vegas. So she was out in Vegas when I think she found out. So I don't know if she was sick beforehand or she was saying she was sick while she was away.
Gotcha.
But, she was going through it, and I guess she must have taken the test there and kind of already knew by the time she was coming back over here.
Yeah.
So I already kind of had that same thing. Again, they were late. When,
Yeah.
we didn't have the stress excuse, not to at least my knowledge. I don't think anything critical was going on at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember even talking to it about it with my coworkers at the job I was at. And I was like, she's lazy. And you know me, Durham. If she's pregnant,
Yeah.
I care less. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Once you got the ring on your finger, this is not
I
high
mean,
school.
That's it. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, then we deal with it. It's nothing crazy. And then sure enough, she tried to play it off as if she was giving me a late birthday gift. That's what it was.
Oh, come on.
So I don't know.
That's cute though.
Was that the same year? I'm trying to remember the year we did. I don't know if you remember one of my birthdays. We had that backyard carnival in her parents' house.
Yes.
I don't know if that was the same year, but
Was
I can't
it?
remember. Like I remember her giving me a gift, but I don't know if it's
remember.
because she didn't give me a gift for my birthday. But I don't know if that was part of her plan. Like,
Okay.
it could have been very intricate. Maybe I'm giving her too much credit. But she had given me a box and it was another gift, and I was at the time I was like really critical because we're cutting close on rent and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was making a big fuss about it, and she's like, just open it, blah blah blah, and I'm reading it, blah blah blah. It's a weird paper mache thing,
Yeah.
and then it was like something about something calling me that. I'm paraphrasing because I can't recollect because again, blur.
Yeah,
Like
man.
it just happened, and you see the pregnancy test. You're like,
Wait, what?
and then I was like, oh, I knew it. Like I think she even has it on her blog. But I
Yeah, I
think
remember seeing it on the vlog.
as soon as that happens, like
Everything
changes. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Especially for me, I'm a very like, this needs to
Yes.
happen
Yeah.
in order for this to happen. It was kind of like, okay, a baby's coming. Like
We got a lot to
it's
do.
time
Yeah.
to pony up and.
Yeah, man.
And whatever you thought you had locked down was just gonna get locked down even tighter. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember one time, and this is why I'm grateful, man. And a lot of people always say this, but like I don't think people like actually like they say it, but I don't know. I don't know if they fully like understand the concept of it. Like if they're able to grasp it. The woman that you're with, your spouse, your significant other, that person influences your life and your future. 100%.
Agreed.
Whether it be that they make you be more assertive or more focused on your goals, or basically they're not doing enough up to your standards that it kind of like
Pushes you to do more.
So like one way or the other, that person's gonna shape you. That person's gonna make you who you are. So
Yeah.
I've always felt that way.
I agree. I think, like you said, it's gonna either be one way or the other, and I'm sure there's always in every relationship.
Of
There's
course,
going to
man.
be
Yeah,
one
you wanna-
aspect
yeah.
on one side and the other aspect on the other. But I think once you throw a child in the mix,
Oh man, it's like
yeah,
it's like listen, we're in this together. Like we
like
we need to
yeah,
figure this out now. Like
this is where I think you need some improvement.
yeah, the difficult
Yeah,
conversation.
the truth comes out.
Yeah, man.
After
but,
that.
But you know what? You need those.
Oh
You
yeah,
need
no,
those
of course. I
conversations.
think it's always for the better. It's a team game,
Absolutely.
and it's I think as soon as you feel it's not,
You gotta have a conversation.
Just being married alone, I think, or being with someone that you're living with, and not even having that moment where you feel you're not a team
Yeah, man.
is already dangerous as it is.
As it is,
Let
yes.
alone now you're throwing
Now
a
you're
child.
adding
Yeah.
a lot, and that's
There's nothing worse than like child resentment.
Oh
where
man, you don't need that.
And I know women go through it more. I know
Yes,
women are always
yes.
like, what does he think he's doing
Yeah.
compared to what women, moms, we will never do as much as you do.
Never.
I will admit it.
Never.
I will say it here so we don't have to hear any backlash from, I'm not even claiming that we do. But I do feel, again, at times, whether it's us men having that father moment for a good
Yes.
half a day
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's like that strong 4 hours.
And we feel like we can be resentful, like, oh, I did the dishes and then I took care of the kid. I mean, I'm sure our fuse is a little bit shorter than
Yeah.
the woman's by all means, but I think once either side, regardless of the balance of it, I think once you get into that child resentment, it's dangerous. I think it's worse than marriage resentment.
I think that's like something that like it's not gaslighting, but I would say it's definitely as toxic. In the sense that you're pitting each other against each other, like you're pitting yourselves against each other, and that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because even in those moments where it's like, oh man, I did this, I did that, and they're not doing anything. It's like even in those moments, you have to understand that you did those things, but it's just that day, or it's just that week, or it's just that month, and I'm a super strong believer that if, like, perfect example, Kathy, she had gallstones. A few
You told me
months
she
after.
had it real bad too.
Yeah, where it's like to the point where, and I know her, like Kathy's never had surgery, she's never gone under, so like for her to say like I need to get these things removed, like that's where I was like, yeah, this must be really bad, and it broke my heart one night because Matthew kept waking up and I kept going up to get him, and she started crying, in pain, not out of frustration, but like out of pain. I was like, yeah, no, we gotta go to the doctors. And yeah, man, I'll never forget it. Like, she was down. Obviously, she was out of commission because again, you had surgery. You can't get up. You can't go do the dishes. You can't. You need help for everything. Your food, stuff like that. And fortunately, we were living with her parents at the time. That's like right around the time that we got the house.
Okay.
And we were staying with her parents, and fortunately, her parents were like real good with like letting us all three stay there. Obviously, they would keep her and the baby, whatever.
Yeah.
But to accept me, it's like it's still a little uncomfortable.
In the back room by yourself in the cold.
Sit under the.
Can I get some heat, please?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, but I think moments like those, again, those are the switches where,
Yeah.
at least I can speak for myself, and I don't know if I speak for men in general, where, needing to be needed
Yes.
flicks a switch where we're more motivated.
Yeah.
And
And it's like that alpha male comes out.
yeah, it's that alpha. I'm like, "Psh, I got
I
this.
got
I'm gonna
this.
step right up
Yep.
and do.
Don't worry about it. It's handled.
And again, let's cover our traces. Cause
Yeah.
that's
Like,
not all, man. I know. I hear it
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
and
yeah, we got
it's
it.
right here in the back of my neck. Somebody's already yelling it. And yeah, that's my. I think I'm trying to, I guess, figure out the characteristic or what about, since we both experienced, what about me or you? Is it just challenges in general? Like,
I mean, listen, I'm the type of person. Yeah, I see
I
it in
love
you
a good-
too. I love a challenge.
I love a good challenge myself.
You know, from playing sports, video games, anything like that's like even borderline competitive, even outside of competitive, it's like you take it to your work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, they're saying I can't get it done today. No, I'm gonna get it done today.
Yeah. So I think it's like a good platform to just kind of step up and
And-
it's almost like a challenge to yourself. Like, okay, come on, Dom, can you do this?
Okay.
Can you sleep 2 hours and do this
And
and,
then
do
get up
that?
and do
And
this. Oh,
yeah.
dude, the sleeping. Oh man,
Ah,
listen,
man.
to every parent out there, every single one of you, it is not easy for anyone. Let me tell you that it's not just you. It's not just your child. It's all of them. They all do it. And the sleepless nights. There was one day I went to work and they sent me home. I legit walked in on my third cup of coffee, by the way, and 7:45 in the morning, and they were like, "Just go home." And I'm like, "No, because if I go home, I'm not gonna sleep anyway." And they're like, "Just go home, take the rest of the day off, get some sleep. Like, we can't let you work like this."
Damn, that's bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been that bad, but I don't need a lot of sleep. I do remember one of the worst nights in child history because Samara had colic.
Oh
So,
yeah.
we would try to feed her before bed. That way, hopefully, she's a heavy
yeah.
sleeper with a heavy stomach. Nope, like that acid reflux, that spitting up of the milk was
Yeah,
just
man.
was horrific, and it was like murder screams.
Oh.
And I just remember like me and Joanna being in the living room because we didn't want to be on the side of the room where the landlord slash neighbors
Gotcha.
were. So we're like, oh, let's go to the living room. Let's let her cry it out. No, I watched the whole DC film till like 5 in
And
the morning,
still.
and I think it was like maybe 5:30, and it finally stopped. But like I just remember like just like staring into nothing, and like wondering and I think at the moment like I looked at Joanna, and I'm like we just started laughing like.
Yeah.
Like we just knew like this, it is what it is.
Yeah, man.
This is parenthood at its finest.
It is. It is though. Look, if you think about it, it really is. Like I can't recall specific events from like overall, like my
Oh, yeah,
life.
no.
But theirs, like Matthew's life. I recount Matthew's like regular like day to day things, and it's like so different. Like I can't remember what I did last week, even though I'm pretty sure it was like probably the exact same thing that I've
Yeah,
done.
you
every
remember what
week.
he did.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
remember what he did.
That's
You
great,
know,
yeah.
and it's like I guess like their memories occupy better space. I don't know. But even though the rough memories, like again, Kathy was telling you about how he scraped his knee and he started bleeding, and it started scabbing up. Fine, whatever. A day or two later, we were outside playing again, and he just walked by the stairs and the brick, and it cut open again, and he started
Those are milestones.
yeah, it's a milestone. But it's like I don't remember anything of mine like anymore. Like my days are less stressful, not because they're less stressful. It's just because like I don't really put like as much
Yeah, there's not as
impetus
much
on it. Like it's not like no, like
urgency
you know what?
or no, I get exactly. You just pay more attention to them than you would. Like I can
Yeah.
sit on the couch and probably maybe I went through Instagram. I can't recall what I see, but again, I'll let you know. Yeah, Mila just fell off the couch.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
for the 15th time. Like I count that. And like you said, it occupies a better or bigger space.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say that.
And hopefully again, I think every parent, every father, hopefully encounters that where it's like
Yeah.
you
And
take your back seat.
Yeah, and look, you know what? I don't mind taking the back seat because I always think about it like, you know what? I would like to give him everything that my father never could give us.
Yeah.
And again, that's not a knock on my dad. My dad was amazing. I'm speaking for myself. He definitely had some shortcomings, and
All parents do.
yeah,
Regardless.
everybody does. But I will say this: he was a great dad. Like he gave me my morals. He gave me my work ethic. He raised us to be strong and independent and take care of your family. And for that, I've always been grateful for. Was he perfect? Nah, he definitely wasn't perfect, man. He made mistakes just like anybody else.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat, a little bit on the other end of the spectrum. I think if I do credit my dad to anything that was keeping us out the hood, I think when I was in my mother's womb, that was one of the things he was determined not to allow, like for me to grow up in, the projects, ghetto-like areas that he grew up in, such as, Newark, East Orange,
man.
just the places where, obviously he lived that life and he was heavily affected by it.
Gotcha.
He didn't want his kids growing up with it, within that. And, that's one thing, regardless of, how I feel about the overall
Yeah, the
path
overall,
of how everything kind of
yes,
played
yes,
out,
yes.
that's one thing I can say, okay, and I always say, at some point, regardless of how bad you think you have it or how bad you think you can get, somebody has to break the cycle.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was one of the things that my dad did do. He broke that cycle where, maybe he did have an acknowledgement of where he was at in his life and he couldn't get out of it, but he knew.
That he was going to do better for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And however fashion he could.
He could, yeah.
And then that was, that's game changer. I think I've grown up to be pretty
Absolutely.
well versed, well knowledged,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely. I definitely got to
I have
say
a
that.
beautiful family now. So it's a minor sacrifice that I think regardless of I think the gripes and then the misfortune I feel I had with my father growing up, it's definitely
Yeah,
something
yeah.
I can always say, well, and then even to this day, like he's still my father. I still love him regardless of
Yeah.
the things that have transpired. But for me again, it's just that drive to give my daughters
Everything.
a presence I didn't feel
Yes,
I had,
yes.
and to be there and to spoil them and to make good on my word and again all those little nitpick stories that you probably
Yes.
have with your dad or your mom,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and just kind of fill in those gaps. Like no, that's just I'm not going to allow
That's
that
not
to
gonna
happen.
happen.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember how it felt,
And I didn't like it.
and yeah, and you didn't like it, and there's
Yep.
just no way I would allow it.
Absolutely. And look, that's pretty much what every parent I think wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They always want something better for their kids. They always want more and more prosperity, more being more prosperous, whether it's financially, mentally, the things that you didn't want that you couldn't learn or your parents couldn't afford to like teach you that
Yeah.
whatever. Like perfect example, Matthew. Matthew likes to bang on everything, and he likes to make noises and sing and draw. Like, look, I used to like to play like the clarinet, but classes were $275 each one. So let me tell you, my mom and my dad were like, look, we would love to get it for you.
Yeah,
The clarinet was like $900, and then on top of it, the classes. It's like, unfortunately, we can't. And I think I was like, I want to say like 9 or 10 years old having that conversation, but I very vividly remember it because I really, really wanted it.
Yeah, it was something you really wanted to do, yeah.
And it's like I couldn't, not because they didn't want to give it to me, but
Yeah.
because they couldn't afford it. I mean, granted,
yeah,
it's-
$900 was a lot back then too.
Yeah,
That's not $900 now.
Yeah,
that's for
no,
sure.
like $900 now. I hear it and I'm like, we can get there. Like $900 back then. I'd be like, yo, man, good luck, bro.
Yeah, but that's that. But I think that's also because even again, not to make it seem lighthearted than that, because $900 is still $900.
Yes,
You never-
absolutely. Regardless of what.
It definitely weighed more. Back in the '90s and early 2000s.
Hell yeah.
But even to say like you can think about 900 now and
And yeah.
and it's manageable.
And it's manageable. Like I think I
know.
can get there. But then again, like look, $900, right? Back then, and it was like, oh, it's 5 brothers and sisters, and we're living in a basement apartment
Yeah,
in West New York.
that's only
and it's
one
like-
class. Yeah,
And it's
for
like
one
only
kid.
one class, and then if we're gonna do that every week, it's like, where do you get that
It's-
money?
That's tough.
Yeah, man. Look, that's another perspective that I have of it. It's like I watch my parents struggle. Like what I mean. I watch them go through like hardships, and my dad and my mom, they did that because of us. I know that there was times that they wanted to, hey, let's take a trip to Mexico, wherever, anywhere, but they were like, no, we can't afford it. Imagine how much a flight is for a family of 7.
Yeah.
So
So that's where I always think about perspective, and I usually take into account, my older brother, my sister, myself. We grew up in the same house, same parental upbringing for the most part, but still can see something in a completely different way. Like
Absolutely.
there's easy room for someone in your same exact position to be like, oh well, my parents didn't afford the class. It's because they didn't love me, regardless of seeing them struggle.
No, exactly.
But-
Like you'll still see it, but you won't see it the same way.
You won't see it the same way, or you can you can misconstrue it like, oh well, even like now, if I had such a harsh perspective as I do now on things, I'm like, well, they didn't try hard enough. You know,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of person where like, you know, if I really want to get something done, if I
It's gonna
really,
get
it's
done.
gonna get done.
Yeah.
Like regardless of the lack of sleep or what I have to
Yeah, yeah.
sacrifice, I'm just gonna do that.
But you see, I'm glad you said that too because it's true. It's like what the thing that most people miss is that lack of sacrifice. Like you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are very comfortable. Like they don't want to, go all in with it, and they don't want to lose. A lot of people hate losing, but whether it be their sleep, whether it be a hobby that they like. Perfect example. Remember what I was telling you about the video games?
Oh yeah,
I can't remember the last time I came up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why? Because I was working out in the garage. I was trying to fix that. I was trying to spend more time with Matthew. I knew that I was gonna have to go back to work now. Like I always wanted to make sure that like regardless of what I want, it's not really about what I want.
yeah, not anymore.
No.
That time has passed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sacrifice, and I think that's a motivation that you have to get up with in the morning as
Yes.
as a parent, as
As a
as a
parent,
father,
yeah.
and just realize that everything you're doing from the moment you roll off of that bed,
Yep.
you're doing it for someone else. It's not
Yes.
even about you.
It's
like,
not.
like that's crazy if you think about
Yeah,
it. Like
absolutely.
somebody is literally dependent on
Yeah.
whether you decide to get up in the
And,
morning or
and,
not.
and it's literally like out of their hands.
Yeah, they can't do
Like
nothing.
Matthew doesn't have a say in whether I get up or not. I mean, he has a say in
Wait.
whether I wake up. I'll tell you that. But he doesn't have a say as to like what I do when I get up.
Yeah.
You know, again, yeah, sacrifice, man. I feel that a lot of people don't know what it's like to give up enough of yourself for somebody else
No, and that's
until
hard.
you're a parent. And
That's hard.
especially
Even then,
as
it's
a
hard.
parent. Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna front like
Oh no, it's definitely
because you
not
try
a
to
walk in
hold
the
on to the
park.
things that'll keep you sane.
Of course.
if you're gonna be busting your ass for lack of better words, trying to do this like. At least let me get some games and at least
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
get my
yeah.
Sunday football and you
Yeah.
try to plug those things in, but sometimes like you can't even get that.
Yeah, man. Look, I hope that when Matthew gets a little bit older, I hope that he loves football, man. Not even if he loves it, just so long
Just
as he
tolerates
likes
it
it
enough,
enough. Like he's like, yeah, Dad orders wings
Yeah.
on Sundays
And pizza.
and pizza.
I'm in.
So I like wings and pizza, but I don't know about football. But I like food, so
Yeah, well,
I hope it works out like
I'll
that.
tag along for as long as I can.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's for me. I've always felt that, perfect example with this house. I remember when we first started saving. It seemed, like it was never gonna happen, because we were talking about things, and I'm like, yeah, we make this much, but like, and then the real problem for us was, once the money started coming in, it was like, oh, but let's do this. Oh, but let's go do
Yeah,
that. Oh,
something
but,
always comes up.
and
More money, more problems.
yeah, man. But I'm very, very grateful that Kathy's like real, like very like laid back, chill, humble about things. I remember when we first started looking for the baby shower, dude. There was a venue we went to go see, and it was nothing crazy. Like it's not like anything extravagant or anything like that. Like I'm not saying a wedding venue or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just a regular venue, and like a restaurant. And they were like, oh, $130 per person.
Yeah.
Now-
Like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like being Hispanic, like the problem is that
Well, I tell my mom to cook. My suegra to cook. Like this is not happening.
like, nope. But yeah, dude, I was like, yo, $130 per person, right? Okay, so that's $130 per person. Being Hispanic, yeah, we have big families, and unfortunately, like I don't really like get to see my family, or I wasn't really seeing my family as much during that time in our lives. But her family was still around, very, very much so. And I want to say honestly, if the baby shower had 100 people, I want to say 80 of them were her family. Actually, yeah, 80. And then like I had like a lot of the like.
And
the
then
guys
20
were-
was me. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
20 was me, Joanna,
Yeah.
and Samara.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. But yeah, dude, it was again, man. Like backtracking to what I said earlier, it who you are and what you become depends a lot on the person that you're with. Unfortunately, we're gonna get married. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
We'll cut that out. We'll cut that out.
Edit that. No, we're supposed to get married next year, and hopefully it pans out. Because with everything going on right now, with the pandemic, with the protests, we don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've had 3 friends right now that they've canceled their weddings.
That's rough. I
And
mean,
it's,
you can always get married.
yeah, no, you're right. Listen, look, I mean, if you're comparing it to the situation, absolutely. But I mean, imagine planning that day out, and it's like, through no
Yeah.
fault of your own. You know,
it's a big unknown.
yeah.
And then you got to worry about people showing up, and then you got to worry about.
Oh man, that's hard.
I mean, I'll be there.
I know. I know. I was telling Kathy, I was like, yo, you know what we should do? And she's like, no. I'm like, yeah, well, I tried. She's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, we can have the wedding in the backyard. And she's like, you don't even know if it's canceled yet. I'm like, no, I don't think it's going to be canceled. But, like, you know, like, just to make people feel comfortable.
Shouldn't be. But I mean, it's not good. It's not bad to plant that seed.
Yes.
To kind of say, hey, this.
Oh, no.
This
like,
is very well a possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
regardless of what.
Of everything.
Was it June 20 next year?
June, yeah.
I mean, we're already in June this year, and I don't even know how we got here.
Yeah, man.
So that's how
year has been a blur,
quick.
And not because of the kids.
Yeah, that's how quick, one, time flies, and two, how time flies in the midst of chaos. Like I don't remember getting here. I don't remember the days of the week.
If you were to tell me that there was a point where we were home, I think my last day at work was March 17th, dating back to last week. Last Monday was my first day back.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Oh, you got a good
Oh,
good chunk off. Nice.
Yo, let me tell you how the weeks literally felt like ages. I can't tell you what Monday was from what Thursday was.
Well, that's in comparison to, I guess, when you're first a parent too, like when you don't.
Yes.
So yeah, but I was working, so I just didn't know what day it was because everything was just so meshed in, and every day seemed the same almost. Like
absolutely, that's exactly what it is. Like I felt like every day I was waking up and I was doing the same thing. And what was that movie? Groundhog's Day, where the guy just keeps repeating Groundhog's Day.
Yep.
Yes, I literally felt exactly like that. I was like,
yeah, I don't envy that. I'm glad. I'm glad I was at least working. We had the girls go over to my in-laws. We got that break, but still was like, because sometimes I would work on the weekends. It's kind of touch base up, touch up on something, but it was still just hard to if I started the week starts on Monday. I didn't know it was Friday till somebody was like, what are we gonna do on Saturday? I was like,
you're like,
what day is it? Let me look outside and get some sunlight. It's crazy. And speaking of the times, I mean, obviously I think we'll have to touch base on one of the biggest issues, I think, specifically with the whole George Floyd case, and specifically, since we're obviously dads, I think bringing up children in
times like this,
in this time, in these sorts of times, and it's been tough. It's been something that I know for me has hit me hard, especially the last couple of weeks.
Of course,
with not only being, I wouldn't say minority, ethnic. We're all ethnic.
Yeah.
Just being a black male figure in life. It's been something that, for me, has changed my perspective and has changed even the way I go about parenting, like now, and not necessarily. My kids are fairly young, so they don't understand.
No, they don't get the
what's going on in the world. But I think it just is mentally preparing me or staging that platform for when you have to have, not necessarily even this talk, but just talks in general about things going on in the world, and preparing them to have those real talks, and how soon you probably have to start. Like Samara's 4, and she already knows what's going on. So this actually happened Friday, and we come in, we pick her up, and I'm gonna get choked up because this is something that, again, I wasn't ready for it.
So it hits you different.
It hits you differently when it's a curveball, and
you're like, what?
Yeah, like when this happened. So we went to go pick him up on Friday, and we get in, and normally they're always excited to see us when we go pick him up. But specifically, Samara was really gun ho at coming towards me, because she gave me a hug, but she didn't leave my side. And I just thought maybe it was Daddy's Day, came early. I'll take all the love I can get. That's cool. So my mother-in-law, she ended up putting some stuff on the grill, so she had potato salad and meat. So she makes me a plate. I sit down at the table and I start eating. Samara, to this point, still hasn't left my side. She's just literally glued on top of me, and glued to me. And I was like, nothing really kind of connected as of yet. So I'm eating, and she asked me for some food. I share my plate with her. And I finally start eating. I relax, and then it's like just get silent. I'm sitting there looking at her, and she's like, Daddy. She's like, why are the people yelling? And I'm what, I was like, I thought
Who's
she was like
yelling?
talking about something outside.
Yeah.
She was like, no, on the TV, the people were yelling at the police, and I was like,
Uh-oh.
my mother-in-law must have had like
There's news
the,
going. Yeah.
Telemundo or whatever was
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
with the thing, and I just remember like the biggest knot in my throat.
Yeah, because like, what do you say?
And I'm a big advocate of like just giving my kids the truth, and giving
Be
them as
honest.
much knowledge as they can possibly,
Handle at this age.
digest.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I can't go into the ins and outs of the the bigger picture, but you know, basically telling you like there was a bad cop who did something
Yeah.
bad, and it made people mad, and and I tried to give like two sides of the story. I never want to
Give one perspective where
give
it's
one's
like this
perspective, or
is you're
or make
influencing
it
it.
seem like it's striking fear. Like again, I know this George Floyd, this whole situation is a bigger perspective than just one bad cop doing something
Yeah, yeah.
and trying to blame all cops. I get that. So I tried to bring, because I have a cop in my family, and I was like, oh, but not like Uncle Louie,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah, yeah.
good cop, blah blah blah, and like she just seemed so shaken by, I guess what she had seen, and didn't want to leave. And dude, like even trying to answer that, I was kind of like I was getting choked up like I am now. I was just like, and my eyes were getting really watery, and I was like how why is my daughter asking me this at 4 years
Yeah,
old?
man, at 4 years
More so
old.
than anything else. Not like I knew I would have to have this talk at some point in time, whether it was now or whether it was when she unfortunately maybe went across her first situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like, why now? And it got to the point where like I literally had to excuse myself. I went to the bathroom and I cried. Like I literally bawled out, like full on cry. Like I it just was so overwhelming. Like I wasn't ready. Like
Of
it hit
course
me
not.
right in the gut.
Ah, man.
I just remember crying. I'm just like this can't be life in a sense.
Like how is that even fair? Like, and that's like why, like, when people bring this up and they're like, oh yeah, but like this or all that, or the looters and that, it's like, yo, but dude, put context to this like situation. Like, think about the mental damage that you're doing to your daughter,
To kids in
to
general.
kids. Then think about the mental damage you're inflicting in, let's just say, minorities. You know what I mean? Now, so what? You're supposed to be afraid of the police? The police you're supposed to call when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like so conflicting, and it's back and forth. And look, a lot of it is very very difficult, I guess, for some people to have that conversation. But it's not something that shouldn't be talked about.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, people try to shelter away from it, and oh, that was back then, and oh, that doesn't happen now. But no, it still happens now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hate to say this because, again, I don't agree with the looting. I don't personally, but again, add context to it. You got people that are unemployed, that don't have money to feed their families. I have a coworker of mine who literally started last Monday, the Monday before I started. So 2 weeks ago he started. He's been on unemployment the same amount of time as I have. He just got his first check.
That's tough.
So like, and look, fortunately for him, like, he lives at home with his parents. So he was still, he was still taken care of. You know what I mean? But let's put context to that. What are the odds that someone else who doesn't have that luxury of living at home with their parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now you, on top of that burden, and that stress and that frustration, now you're adding more fuel to the fire. Let's just say,
Yeah.
by again another minority, another black person at the hands of a cop. You know what I mean? That was police brutality. And it's like, look, again, I don't agree with the looting. I don't think that it's right. You shouldn't burn a store down. But it's not about the building. It's about the message you're sending. Like, we're tired of it. And look, me, I'm not an African American. I'm not black, but I am a minority,
Yeah.
and I do get stereotyped. There was one time we were down at Seaside, and I'll never forget this. I want to say like 12 or 13 years old. We were down there with my family, and I'm talking about like my whole family, and this was like a really big deal. Because normally we just used to go to my aunt's house and just spend time there, and that's it. But we were all down there, and it was great. But then this group of, again, white kids or whatever, and I'm guessing they got it from like their parents or whatever, the case may be, And this guy walks by and he's like, "Oh, this is America. We speak English here."
Yeah,
I
of
was,
course.
I was 12 or 13 years old and I'm hearing that. Like,
Yeah, and that's so I guess I try to have empathy, even as
of course.
a black male in America, because again, but I don't take the looting and the rioting into to play. I have a talk with John all the time, and to me that's collateral. It sounds cold hearted,
Yes, but
but
it's the
it's
truth.
collateral, and we could take race out of the whole entire picture for a moment. A man purposely and with malice
In his
took
heart,
the life
absolutely.
of somebody else. And if you just take that out and you look at the case for what it is, it's murder.
Yeah,
You take
it
black and
is.
white out,
Absolutely.
take whatever you want out of it. That's what happened. And I think what has caused all this uproar again is just the lack of action by those in power. Like
Oh,
if
definitely.
I'm sorry, you don't need to gather evidence when there's a clear video
And
of showing what exactly happened.
and you know what? Actually, just touching on that, honestly, you fired all four of them. So
Yeah.
you fired them, but you don't charge them. And then it's like,
Well,
oh,
not even fired. They
they were on
suspended
leave.
them
Yeah,
with pay.
with
With
pay.
pay.
With pay.
Come on.
It's like, come on, man. Like, what do you? What message that's like?
Well, yeah. What
You're
message are
playing
you
both sides
sending?
of the fence. Like, yo, you gotta pick a side and like, yo, be on it. Look, you saw the video, you saw the tape, you saw what happened to them. Like, you look, you thought it was worthy enough to suspend them, right?
Yeah. So they did something.
So okay, but like, what? You're just doing that to save face in front of everybody else? Like, no. Look at the Ahmaud Arbery one, where the guys chased him down in that car, right? So okay, so you're gonna tell me that this happened, and I didn't know this at first.
That happened. Yeah, like
It
months.
happened in February.
Yeah, months ago.
It took to the end of March for this to actually be something where it's like, okay, we're gonna start doing something about it. Like, and again, the people in power, it turns out that the DA was friends or worked with this guy or whatever it was, and that's why it is that they pushed it. And it's like, yo, this is what you think of other people's lives, like.
Yes, it's there shouldn't be any. I won't say bias, 'cause it's beyond bias.
It's beyond that.
There's
though.
just
It's
like, looking out for.
yes,
And that's just something where I think even as a parent, like, if my child were to commit a crime,
oh, me and Kathy had that convo once.
it's
Look,
tough, but
you gotta-
you would hope as a parent you do the right thing and
Yes.
force them to accept the consequences and
Of
the
their
punishment
actions.
that comes with it.
Yes.
Regardless of who they are to you. Like, I understand the law enforcement, that there's fraternity, it's a brotherhood
Yes,
beyond
yes,
something
yes,
I can
yes.
probably never understand unless I'm in it. But that doesn't mean you don't hold each other accountable.
That's the problem. Look, man, you're telling me that there's 4 police officers, and this is something that like it hits home because it's like, look, what message are you trying to send? That what just because you wear a badge that you can do whatever you want to whoever you want and get away with it?
Yeah.
You get a paid vacation? Come on, man,
Yeah, that's
like that's the problem. And then those other officers is like you see him taking it too far.
yeah.
Two of them are on his on top of his back and pinning him, helping him pin this guy down, who's already handcuffed, by the way, who's begging for his life, telling you he can't breathe. He actually asked for his mother.
Yeah,
He was
that was
crying
rough.
for his mother.
That was rough.
And full transparency, I'm 35 years old. I can't remember the last time I cried for my mother.
Yeah.
I begged for my mom to be there. As a 35-year-old man.
It's just a tough situation, and again, I try to keep the race out of it, keep it as simple, but
Yeah, just look at the
you know-
situation for what it is.
and to have that conversation, and not only ethnic families, but sorry, white people, you're
You
gonna have
guys
to
too.
have this conversation
Yes.
too. Like, this is as much your problem as it is our problem.
Absolutely.
Because I know for myself, I plan on having these talks. Hopefully, it's not. Hopefully,
Hopefully,
this
yeah,
brings about a change that really
is overdue.
yeah, really transpires and pushes the length of time that we've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
But if not, I do plan on having these conversations with my daughters, not necessarily in fear, but in knowledge
Yes.
and understanding that this can happen, and be prepared. Even when I did the protest this weekend
Yeah.
up in the Hudson County area, And something I spoke with John, like I expected to be a peaceful protest. I think at this time, the cops are already convicted.
Yes.
One's in jail already, so it should be a peaceful protest. There should be no looting because now again, based off of my personal argument, the justice is being served, or at least is in
Yes, yes,
process of
yes,
being
yes.
served. So it should be peaceful. But in the back of my mind, I'm still prepared to go to war. I'm still
Yeah.
prepared for, unfortunately, if something gets out of line, if I see a cop get out of line, I have to be prepared for that
To say
and
something.
be prepared to
Yes.
act. And that's the same conversation that I think families of all ethnicities, all colors should have, because again, the same way my daughter is going to encounter maybe a white person that may be treating her differently, is going to probably kind of flip flop in a way where there's already a kid growing up with that anger
In
and that
them.
and that bias in them from something they experience, and is already casting something on this white
Yep.
person looking down over them, and they're going to experience something like getting knocked out because
Yeah.
the black person is just angry, and that's something the white family is going to have to explain, and at some point this is where the again in unity a solution has to kind of
Absolutely.
be figured out here.
Like you can't just give like a half, no, like I don't want to say it in a bad way, but like a half-ass solution. Like this needs to be something that is like openly addressed, but by everyone.
Yeah, it should be taught.
It should be.
I don't know. I mean, we learn all these other heinous acts and with
In
the
history.
Aztecs and all this other conquering of
Nazis.
islands and lands and things like that. And this is something that should be taught, because obviously these kids are going to go to school with each other, and
Yeah.
this is almost like in-house psychology at this point,
Yeah.
where again these things are going to carry. I already know it. I can already see it. I can't say I felt it as much as another black person.
Okay.
I've definitely been profiled. I've definitely experienced being called out by a police officer who was white, but again, I can't compare it to somebody else who has lived in like a projects area,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
or
Okay.
a low income area, and where maybe that's just what they experience every day. I didn't grow up with that resentment.
Yeah.
But even to this point, in my life, being a black man on the other side of the fence, I felt I had to make my voice on, like, okay, I've seen this and I've experienced it.
Yeah.
Maybe not as bad as everybody else, but it exists.
It's
and
there.
it,
Oh, dude, I hate when people tell me, oh, yeah, racism isn't a thing. It's not really that bad. People make it sound worse than it really is. And I'm like, where are you living? Like, I'm not even saying that I've been, again, through anything like crazy, but I've seen both sides of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been on the sides where cops will harass me because I'm a little bit darker. My hair was long at one point. Things like that.
the braids, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. God, delete those pictures. And then I've been on the other side of it, where it's like, look, one time I got pulled over going to my mom's house. It was Mother's Day, actually. I got pulled over. I was doing 80, and I was running late to my mom's. That's why I was speeding. But the officer who pulled me over, he was white. He was younger, like roughly around my age, I want to say, because I want to say he was like in his mid to late 20s. And pulls me over. He said, "Hey, man, you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, he was like, "It's because you were speeding. Come on, man." But like, real cool. Didn't make me feel threatened. Didn't make me
Yeah.
feel like in danger. He asked me for my papers, and I told him, because I was out the night before, which is why I was running late, that there was a bottle of Hennessy in the glove box. And I was like, "Look, man, the glove box is locked, but my papers are in there, but there's also a bottle in there from last night." And he was like, "All right." And I pulled it out, and he was like, "I can't leave you with this. It's an open bottle." I'm like, "Just keep it, man." He was like, "What are the flowers for?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Mother's Day. I'm going to go see my mom." So he's like, "Listen, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to give you a very strong warning right now." He was like, "No more speeding. To your mom's, go, enjoy, give her the flowers, spend the day with her, and then go home. But don't speed." I was like, "Yeah, great, no problem."
Yeah, that pulled off going.
And I was like, "Ah!" Drift King.
Yeah, and then, I mean, and those are the stories again. And I know white cops. I have good friendship with white cops, and again, this has nothing to do with, like, at least in my mind, white cops. It just has to
Bad
do
cops.
with bad cops, and the white cops who are the bad cops getting away with things
Yeah.
on black people.
Yes. it's like you can't say that people are crying wolf when it's actually happening. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and again, you won't know and until you hit through. It's like just like when my daughter had. Again, it didn't affect me as bad until it's at your front door.
of
It never
course,
will.
of course.
Just like with this coronavirus, until you had somebody you
Who
knew in
you
your
knew,
circle,
and look,
it
you know
wasn't
what?
serious, right?
Oh,
This
look,
it wasn't anything, right?
I will attest to it. Yeah, man.
I
Look,
was
when it was in China, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, China, they were in lockdown, Wuhan, whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's in China. Who cares, right? Because it's not affecting me." But then, fast forward 4 months later. Now look at it. You know, uh, Kathy's best one of Kathy's best friends, coworkers, passed away from it. And she was only 31, I think, or 32. So it hits home because it's like not only is it in the area, it's happening to someone you know. Unfortunately, someone in Kathy's family passed away, and it's a terrible situation. And look, I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can go out and you can get it, and it's not that bad." But just to give you guys a quick summary of what happened, that that family member of hers that passed away, he had it before. Now he lived in a. They all lived together. It was a big family. I think it was like a 2 or 3 family house, and they all lived together. Now they all had it. They all got over it. Now, the girls, their daughter's neighbor across the street, the neighbor's dad passed away. So the girl went over there and she was giving everyone hugs and condolences and blah blah blah.
And gave it to
Now
them
she
again.
comes home. 2 days later, she gets sick again. She's young. Yes, she'll be fine. But now you gave it to your father, and what happened? He passed away. And it's just that example is very, to me, it's very moving because it's like this is exactly what it is that people say doesn't happen, but it does.
Yeah, and I think that's just the case until it starts hitting home, until you either experience it or you're doing it and you come to
Yes.
acknowledgement of it. It's gonna linger and it's not gonna get resolved.
It doesn't.
And that's just it's unfortunate because again I know I've seen plenty of posts and plenty of social media tellings of again all different sides of the story, and some which I feel again completely missed the mark again based off of the original story. But for those who like either try to excuse, like I think I even seen one, I think it was like yesterday, 2 days ago, where like and to unbiased the situation in for lack of better words, like she was a woman of ethnicity, and literally was saying like, oh well, did you know that George Floyd was under the influence and he was on drugs? Like, okay, don't get me wrong, that's not a good look, but in the same respect, it has nothing to do with him being helpless and
Like, did he give them drugs?
Yeah, and
my bad. Like, I totally
has
don't
nothing to
understand
do
that.
with it.
Yeah.
Like, and when people bring that argument to the table just to have like another like rally cry of why we're overreacting as black people to want justice, it just makes no sense. Because regardless if he was drunk, regardless of if he was high, it shouldn't matter. His life shouldn't have been taken away.
Yeah.
That's just literally the point.
And then that's like the problem with it. Like, those people are the ones that I feel that are like, oh, you know what? But this. Oh, but that. And it's like, don't put an excuse to it. Face it. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't give me an excuse of, oh, he was drunk. What was that? The college kid. He raped somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So he rapes a girl, admits to it, right?
he gets off.
Caught. He gets 6 months probation because the judge felt that it would ruin his future to send him to jail.
I think he said like college experience. I don't know. He said something like you just
Like, are you kidding me?
like I don't
Like, I don't
get
need
it.
a justification for it. I don't care for the explanation. You know what I mean? Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to put some context to it, I guess, from the cops' perspective of it. But at the same time, it's like, let's look at what happened. You were kneeling on this guy's neck for about like 9 minutes, and again, I'm not specific about the time because I don't recall it like to the second. But you're kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. Let's just say 6 minutes to cut it short and give this guy something like that. So you're kneeling on his neck for 6 minutes. Two other officers are on top of him as well. He's handcuffed with his face into the street. He's begging and pleading with you, telling you that he can't breathe, asking you for water, begging and crying for his mother. People around you are telling you that he is bleeding from his nose and his mouth, and you still continue to knee on him. Please explain to me the justification for that. I don't care how drunk he was. I don't care how high he was. That has nothing to do with this. Give me the explanation for the cop that did that. Make that make sense to me. And then we can have that conversation. To me, it's like, look, he did something wrong, and people don't want to give it to the race card. You know what I mean? Especially white people. They're trying to, oh no, it wasn't about the race. It's not this. It's not that. It just coincidentally happened to be a white guy on a black guy's neck. But okay, it's not about race. No. He was drunk. Oh no, the autopsy said this. And by the way, the first autopsy, they said that he died because he was intoxicated, and he died of heart conditions. He later got examined by an outside coroner, and they confirmed that he died of asphyxiation.
I mean, listen, people can have. I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it on many platforms and many situations where people can have the truth dangling in front of their face and still would miss it, and that's just the world we live in. I can't. Again, it's perspective. Like I can't explain. I can't make you see it, but I can't explain why and how somebody can literally manipulate a story that is pretty black and white. No pun intended, but and you still have like some type of weird analogy or conspiracy theory as to why it was deserved. Like this doesn't make any sense, because if I tell the same story and I put your name in his position, you're like, why is this happening to me? Yeah. Why? But why? If I'm just this, then you have ifs instead of buts. It's just.
I hate that, man.
It's one of the reasons why, and I always say it, I hate humans. It's just humans are just the dumbest creatures of all time. If there truly are aliens, they are really enjoying the sitcom that is humanity, because we do the dumbest things sometimes, and I can't explain it.
Season 6 of Jumanji.
Season 6 of it's probably just called Humanity, and they're just it's a comedy / horror / God knows what, because we just don't have it together, and I just don't understand why, at the minimum, why the morals, which for the most part should be universal, right, wrong, pretty simple.
But they are universal. If you look at any religion, they all preach the exact same thing. Be good to one another, respect your fellow man, love each other, love your brothers and sisters, is how they mostly verse it.
Thou shalt not kill.
It's like, stuff. Look, man, if you got to tell somebody that, killing someone is wrong, I think we should be having a different conversation.
Yeah, but the way they'll bend it, and I already know it's going to be, well, there's always, again, self-defense, and there's reasons why, but this, exactly. But I think that's what they take and carry it beyond the reasonable nature of it. Like, that wasn't self-defense. Okay, we know that, so cross that out. What else can you possibly say? Like,
what, he said something bad to him? Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay, he's in handcuffs. Like, and again, it doesn't add up to the number of white criminals who have been effectively arrested and incarcerated without their lives being taken away, who have shot up schools, who have been...
Dude, that the one of the church, the guy that he
was in North Carolina, right?
Yeah. So he shoots up a church, and of course it was obviously race driven. Like, he literally put out a
black church was started out there. Yeah.
Of course, and then they stopped to get him Burger King or Mickey D's or whatever the hell it was, because he was hungry. Yeah,
but George Floyd couldn't get any water or air, for that matter. Like,
man. And it's
why does that have to be? Why does that have to be explained?
Like, exactly.
Why? Why do I have to bring in another story
to give you that?
Yeah, because it seems kind of petty. Like, I get the conversation too. Like, oh, why are you bringing up that story? Well, because you don't get the first. I don't.
Yeah, like, what do you have to see for you to understand that? Like, it's not right. Like, there's something that's broken in the system, and it needs addressing. And that's my problem with it. Like, look, a lot of people are saying now, oh, defund the police, right? Did you know that the police officers in Los Angeles, they're bankrolled by $2 billion? So there's $2 billion given to the police departments in Los Angeles.
And I understand the argument. I don't. And again, this is where I can understand a point, but I can't understand the extreme point, because again, we can't get rid of law enforcement.
Listen, I'm not saying to abolish them.
You can't.
I'm saying,
but listen, you can't defund them if you're not.
$2 billion?
Yeah, if you're not getting your value for the service that's being paid for. I I mean, if I go to a restaurant, I'm sorry, I'm very adamant on over tipping if the service is well, and not tipping
if the
if the service is
is
poor.
poor.
It's not that I'm a bad person, but I am not encouraging this person to think they did a great job.
Yeah.
And I think with that, I can agree with defunding, but I can also agree with again some cops feeling underpaid.
Of
Again,
course.
there's 2 billion, but again, and that's an internal issue.
Yes, yes.
That's their
because
internal
you have
issue.
to see where the money
Where that
goes.
money's going. Where
Yeah.
that money's going.
And look, this is something that like blew me away the other day, right? So in one of the group chats, I think I don't know if it was ours,
I don't know.
DH maybe, I don't know,
Can't
but
recall.
yeah, but somebody posted something where it's like one fully equipped officer with riot gear would supply PPE to 55 nurses or doctors. 55.
Let's bring more right here for peaceful protests.
Come on, man, like.
It's just, but again, it's a bigger issue, and
Yeah, of course,
and
of course. And funding, of
back-
course, falls back to the government.
and it's back to then the same origin of the problem in this case, the authority and the lack of action.
Yes.
That's
I think that leadership is like very,
so
very
you can
lax.
say you don't blame the police. I don't blame police officers. I believe everybody above them who are pulling the strings and making the decisions.
Yes.
If we want to make it even more clear cut, so that I'm not a cop hater or anything like that. Because again, I have cops in my family.
Same
but
here.
again, there's lack of where again these officers aren't getting paid enough. So again, if you're getting paid crappy, you don't want to show up to a job. You already feel some type of way doing the job.
Of course.
So
But then that should be the problem too. Like they have to find a better way to address the problems. Like this doesn't just stem out to like a racist cop, and maybe it does with this situation. But like it's not just that. Like there's underlying issues that people don't see.
it
So
could-
again, I don't hate cops. I'm not trying to say abolish cops and give the masses their freedom. Like
Yeah,
that never
we're not
works.
making
This isn't the Wild Wild West.
town
Like,
sheriffs, yeah,
Yeah,
stuff like
exactly. Tomorrow you're gonna have a
that. Yeah. In a board meeting, like, okay, who wants to be Rick Grimes? Not me, that's for sure. Again, I
you need police.
yeah, and
Yes, you do.
without a doubt.
But you need police to actually like reach out into the communities too. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be there's got to be something where it's like
And there's some that do. Like again, you see a lot of heartfelt stories.
yes,
But it
yes, you do.
it should be part of the program, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, if your police officers are in a ghetto or a town, overridden by
gotta put-
poverty,
You got to put cops there that can deal with that
yeah,
situation.
that can deal with it, and two, that again are part of the community. Like,
yeah.
I'm
That understand it.
I'm sorry
relate.
if you're sending cops from suburban areas to deal with urban areas, you're not going to get a connection that you
Nah,
think
man.
you're going to get.
Yeah.
You just
It's different.
this person who has trees and flowers and a lawn and sprinklers can't relate to anything that's going on in the
Absolutely.
projects.
Absolutely. Because it's a whole new world to them.
Yeah, it's different and it's probably scary. Like, listen, I wasn't born in the projects. I wasn't born rich. I'm somewhere in the middle, but
Yeah.
I know a project when I see one. If we're just being honest, I know a project when I see one, and I know the people, I know the environment, and it's very easy to feel like
Overwhelmed.
apprehensive
Yeah, yeah.
and things of that nature, but you need to put somebody in there who
Who can handle
who
it?
can.
Somebody that knows the area. You know.
and
what
if
I mean?
not,
Like,
have the training, have the community events,
Yes.
have something where it's gonna to diminish that tension that's there. So that way, again, if there's a white cop walking through the neighborhood, oh hey, that's
That's,
Bobby from that community
yes,
thing. He was
yes.
signing, he was doing this, and then there's less tension because again, there's familiar faces, not just this white boy just telling people what to do. This white boy is actually involved with this. This white boy is
Yes.
again, and I hate to throw it out like white boy this, black boy that, but since we're talking and speaking in color, that's literally what you're doing when you're sending, these cops who are already looked at some type of way into these environments where these people are looking at you some type of way,
Yep.
and they have to bridge that gap. I don't know why that hasn't been a solution presented. I don't know why, if it has, why this guy on a random podcast is the one coming up with this. But that's literally the solution. If you want something, you have to enforce the unity before you can enforce the law.
Yeah.
'Cause
Absolutely.
no-
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said.
Nobody's gonna take any orders from somebody who doesn't understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
You're right. You're absolutely right. No, that was a really good point. Uh, I want to say to everybody, I know that all the times right now everything seems like real bleak and down,
Yeah.
but just keep your head up, and everything gets better eventually. And as long as everybody stays behind this movement, I really feel that this is going to be the time for change.
Yeah, I think we have to keep the foot on the gas, so to speak, and
Yeah.
keep it alive. I think the problem is it constantly gets gaslighted, and then we're pulling back because nothing's happened for a while.
Yeah.
But I think again, there should be more community involvement. More proactiveness in regards to just tackling what we know is a lingering issue, regardless of how big it is. Yes, racism isn't what it was in the 1980s or the 1970s, but it's obviously still present. More predominantly in other states than most, but
Yeah. But it's still there.
that's where voting and hiring these officials who
Yes.
can see that and can instill these programs to be like, hey, we're a community. If if you feel like it's almost like AAA, like and being
Yeah,
alcoholic.
man.
Like, listen, like, don't get me wrong, like racial jokes are racial jokes. Like, we grew up with them,
Yeah.
we use them. I use them to my disposal. Regardless of the there's a difference between using those to you know
In a
either
joking
get
manner.
one up in a
Yeah,
joking
yeah,
matter
yeah.
than to maliciously try to hurt somebody,
Yeah.
or
Agreed.
to use it to continue to excuse your actions as a
Yes.
racist. But again, you got to go out there and vote, and you got to go out there and vote for people who see the issues, who have the solutions, and are willing to apply said solutions.
Yes.
That way, we can just get educated on it. Without knowledge, we're just right back where we started.
Exactly. And that's something that like I really feel like that right now is so different from times before. Where like back in the day, like or like in situations past, like yeah, it would be a big thing for a few days, a week, 2 weeks. But now I feel like this isn't going anywhere this time. I feel
No.
like this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I feel like this is the time where people are really gonna come together and vote for a change, man. And you have to vote. I know a lot of people that say, "Oh, voting's not important. It's not this," but that person that's telling you voting's not important is probably voting.
Yeah.
So I really, really, really just hope that like that's something that gets across to people nowadays. You have to vote. You need to.
Yeah, and it's not if you don't know who to vote for, look it up.
Yeah.
Google, ask. I mean,
Yes.
I'll be honest, I don't know who I'm voting for, and it's not always as simple as Democrats and
And
Republican.
Republicans,
Don't
yeah.
don't get it twisted
Nope.
where you think the Democrat is always going to be on the side of minorities and vice
Nope.
versa. That's not the case.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to educate who's in your town and their history. The same way you're looking up Trump's history, the same way you're
Yep.
looking up Obama's history, and the same way you're looking up this cop's history as to what he did before this case
Yep.
is what you have to do for those elected officials in your town. Dig up their dirt, dig up their biases, dig up their perspective, and see if again, it could be another situation where it's the best of two evils,
Yeah.
but to make sure you got the best of it.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with it, but make sure if those are two selections you have, that you make one that best seeks what you want for your community.
Yep. Again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came by and listened to the podcast. Calling all dads.
Congrats, dude. This is your baby. I'm so long for the ride. But
It's
this is
our
all
baby. It's our baby. Yeah, hopefully we'll be doing more of these. At least we're gonna try to keep up with it once a week. Obviously, being a dad, it's
We got responsibilities.
yeah, it's not easy. And
Shout out to the wives for tolerating
Yeah.
us being away. We've been away for a minute.
yes, we have.
So shout out to the wives for understanding and backing us on this new endeavor.
Yes, absolutely.
They'll definitely be featured. We'll get some female perspectives on here every now and then to keep it fresh. But I think overall, this is just a platform that I think I could speak on behalf of Ralph. Just gives dads or males an opportunity to vent or to discuss things that we normally wouldn't. Again, guys, we're normally talking about sports. We're
Yes.
normally talking about video games, something that honestly doesn't touch down to real life or relating to fatherhood. And
Yep.
and I hope that we can open some doors to kind of open up the conversation where men are willing to discuss fatherhood, willing to discuss, you know, the trials and tribulations and the joys and the successes of raising children, and everything that comes in between it. It's not all sunflowers and ice cream.
Oh,
We
definitely
know
not.
that, but I think having a platform to vent, to get perspective, and hopefully, you know, as we grow and we can start taking questions, you know, we can give our feedback. We don't know all the answers either.
Yeah.
But I know I've had great examples, great father figures in my life that I can say I've learned from. I learned from Ralph and his stories and experiences, and I know he learns from mine.
Oh, I definitely love
And
from
hopefully we
yours.
can grow a community of dads who are, you know, are willing to be proud to be fathers and are willing to
Yes.
step up to the plate, willing to accept these challenges and everything that comes with being a dad. So Ralph, I'll let you close this out because this is all you, bro.
Oh, nah, man. That's it. That's all for Calling All Dads first podcast. Thank you again for joining us. Hope to see you guys again.
Catch you in the next episode.